With the nicer weather moving in, many of us are spending more time out in the yard getting things cleaned up and ready for the arrival of blooming plants and those beautiful budding trees. But before you dig up that next unknown rooted thing, you might want to learn more by signing up for the Native Plant Master Program with CSU Extension. A lady who knows and loves her native plants. She's with us now. That's Barbara Fahey. Good morning.
Hi, Tanya.
Great programs at CSU Extension. Such a wealth of knowledge there. And today we're focusing on plants. So what's involved with this program?
Well, the Native Plant Master Program is all about Colorado wildflowers, native trees and native shrubs that you might see when you go out in the natural landscape. And our program basically is all about teaching you how to identify those plants. And have you ever walked like down a trail and looked on either side of the trail and said, wow, what are these cool flowers?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what we do in our program is we teach people how to identify those plants, and we tell them all kinds of interesting information about the plants. So it's not just, well, this is this, this is this. You're never going to remember that, but we actually form connections so you understand where the plant fits in, what its relationships are to other plants, to other animals, who eats it, who are their friends, who are their enemies, who are their relatives, like what families are they in. Yeah, so there's a lot of information there.
Which lead us to, it's very important, sustainable landscaping. That's a big key to this.
Absolutely. Sustainable landscaping is a major focus of our program. And in fact, one thing right here that I brought that we can take a look at is a plant you can use for sustainable landscaping. But first, what do we mean by that? That's kind of a catchword people use. And what we're really talking about is using plants that are naturally adapted to Colorado's climate. So you can save time and money by using native plants that are sustainable. You need to plant a native plant in its habitat, something similar to its natural habitat, in order for it to be sustainable. But so how can you save time and money? Well, first of all, of course, Colorado is very dry, so if you're using a native plant in its similar habitat, you're not going to have to water it. So this plant right here, this is
that one.
Creeping Holly Grape.
Love the names, yeah.
And it's a wonderful plant. It's got a gorgeous spring bloom, and unfortunately, I searched my yard to find something in bloom, and only a couple non-natives were in bloom. So this is a wonderful native, has a gorgeous yellow clustered flower. You can see the flower starting to come out in various areas. And I used to be a beekeeper, and it has the fragrance of when you open a beehive of honey just wafting up to you. So this is a wonderful plant for dry areas in your yard. You don't have to go all native. You can just do certain
little things there.
Pocket gardens in your yard.
I want to move on to, because something else I mentioned was the noxious weeds. What is the problem with that? People, they're a pain. We all know that. But here is an example, correct, right here that we're looking at?
Absolutely.
And this is what I call myrtle turtle.
Myrtle turtle, otherwise known as myrtle spurge, which is right here also in front of us. Here's a live specimen, and it is a noxious weed. Well, what the heck is a noxious weed?
Yeah.
It's defined by Colorado state law. Colorado has defined a list of noxious weeds that are actually mandated to be controlled. This particular plant, myrtle spurge, is on what's called List A. List A is interesting because control is actually mandated. These plants, wherever they're seen, must be eradicated by law. And believe it or not, I had this plant all over my yard.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, no.
So it's a noxious weed. Why is it a noxious weed? All noxious weeds are alien. They are not from Colorado. In fact, they're not from North America. This particular plant is from the Mediterranean area, and because they don't have any other natural predators in Colorado, once they get a foothold, they can spread and cover a landscape completely. Absolutely. And this plant is a real problem because it has a very caustic, milky juice, and it can burn the mouths of anyone who eats it, including native elk, as well as livestock. So it's a serious problem. And we show people out in the landscape in our classes the difference between these two kinds of plants.
We have a little under 30 seconds. You're so cute. You're so passionate about your plants. I love it. It's great. But finally, let's end with, what is stewardship? And we have a picture of a wood lily.
Well, stewardship is all about how we can affect the natural landscape for positive or for negative. And for negative, the wood lily used to be common in all of Colorado and moist mountain meadows. It's a stunning plant. It's tall, it's 2 to 3 feet tall, beautiful large orange lily-shaped flower, and it's seldom seen anymore because people thought it was so cool that they collected it to bring home and put it in their garden. What we want people to do with our native plants like this is to go to a nursery or a garden center and get their native plants.
We have got to bring you back. That's so interesting. Thank you so much. I bet you're so excited for spring to be here too. The use of native plants and sustainable landscape is one of the many goals at Colorado State University Extension's Native Plant Master Program. You can learn all about that between the rooted beauties and those noxious weeds. Head to co.nativeplantmaster.org. You can learn also there about all the different and wonderful programs that are actually in your area. Up next, we'll take a close examination of the current